T is super important. Nothing is going to happen without a time-based element. I'm a huge believer that under all the different things that people could have picked for T, time-bound by design is the absolute best way to go with a T word. Time-bound, if something doesn't have a deadline, the deadline, one, can't be broken. I know the cynics do. But two, it will never, ever have a high degree of likelihood that it's going to happen. If you do not have a deadline, a do-or-die date can equal a dead deal, and it usually will, okay? A drop-dead deadline will equal a dead deal because deadlines are made to be broken. But if it's time-bound, it becomes tangible to people. It becomes real to people. I need to change out, we're not going to need to change out the lighting within 60 days, within 180 days. Putting a timeline to it makes it much more likely that it's going to happen. It might be a week or two late. Might be a couple weeks past deadline, or the priorities came up, blah, blah, blah. But at least you have a relative time frame to work in. And making sure that each one of these goals has a time component is fantastic. So let's kind of go back a little bit and say how our goal has changed from I want to go green to what it is now. Remember the big, ambiguous, I want to go green this year, we want to go green this year? Well, now we have a SMART goal that's been formed out of this. We've drilled it down to specific. We are going to go green this year in one way by changing out all of our lighting to be LED lighting or light-emitted diode lighting. We're going to measure our success based on the amount of CO2 that we offset and the decrease in costs of our electricity use. We've proven out that this is an actionable plan, that there's actual action involved in it, that there is going to be plays in there, that it's going to be action-oriented, that it's ambitious, it's going to take a lot of depth, and that we can achieve it based upon what we have for internal resources or resources that we can gain through working with this consulting company. It's relevant right now because there's a $2,500 credit to all businesses. This is something I'm just pulling out of the air. But there's a $2,500 credit to businesses in our state for putting this type of lighting in now. And it's resourced because we do have the budget. And we're going to do it over the next 180 days. Yeah. That's something that's doable now. That's something that people have to think. Now, you go out to time-based, you get into timely, specific, timetable, trackable, tangible, all these other words that can go out there, but really time-based, time-bound by design kind of covers it all. So that's what it boils down to. Now these people have a plan, and you help them with their advanced green change planning process. Now, because you help them turn their ambiguous, ethereal goal of going green this year into something, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound, it's very likely that at some point you wrote yourself into the Rex there. You wrote yourself into the process of how all this was going to change. And that helped you maintain the client relationship, maintain a semblance of control over the process and the planning. And now they're looking at this and saying, this is something that they're going to do. They're going to change out their life. Now, if you go through that process with them on the 4 or 5 of their top priorities over the course of a 1 or 2 hour meeting with these people, they're going to walk away with it saying, this is a game plan. We got a plan. It's assigned to this person, right? They're going to do it by this date. Now the boss is looking around going, this is going to happen. And then he's looking at players saying, you're going to do it. And they're going, yeah, we want to do it. This is cool. And if you were smart about it yourself, you wrote yourself into that, and they're going to do it with you. So that's what the whole SMART process is all about. So that's what the whole SMART process is about. Always make sure that you're getting folks to engage in that SMART process with you, because it gives you the buy-in, and it gives you the ability to take ethereal goals and turn them into things that you can monetize. So let's tie it back to the financial element for whoever's involved here. If you're a green team champion, and you're trying to make sure that people understand that there's a value that you bring in the organization that you're working in, by doing all this stuff, this helps. This then gives the boss the ability to look at you and go, wow, they just applied this SMART process to this. You know what that boss is going to do? Almost, you would think that this would be the most likely outcome. They're going to look at other players in the room of that management team and say, I want us to start using this SMART process thing that they did to other things we do here. Because if they're not doing that today, it's usually pretty impressive. Right? We want to start working this in. So, at a minimum, you impressed them that way by being that professional. At a maximum, you just gave yourself the greatest platform for being able to spend your time doing what you want to do within your organization, rather than what everybody else seems to want to tell you to. Now, well, granted, when you walk out of that room, if you're a mid-level manager and you just present it to your bosses, they're going to come back to you and say, yeah, we do want you to do all that stuff, just don't lose sight of all the stuff that I told you to do, too. So, but whatever. Increase your value. It's a good thing to do in these tough times. If you're a green team member, if you're doing this as a consultant, this is your bread and butter. This is where you're really making commitments happen around what you're pitching here, and you're building yourself into the fabric of it. So do a good job on that. Spend time on that process. Do it right. Think